highest common factor. Which is abbreviated as HCF. So what is the highest common factor? We already saw what a factor is. So highest common factor is the largest number which is a factor of two or more numbers. Highest common factor is a number, the biggest number which is a factor to two or more numbers. For example, and a question can require me to find the HCF of 8 and 12. Find the highest common factor of 8 and 12. Now this also includes two methods. Method 1 includes first listing all the factors of the different numbers, from there identifying the common factors, and lastly obtaining the highest factor out of those common factors. So we're going to look at two methods. Method 1, it involves first listing all the factors of 8 and 12. So factors of 8, we say the very first factor of any number is 1. We have 2, we have 4, we have 8. So these are the factors of 8. Then I also identify the factors of 12. So my factors of 12 are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and finally 12. 8 is not around. So factors of 12 I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and lastly 12. So out of these factors, I'm going to identify which factors are common in both sets. So common factors, when you look at this set, there is 1 here, there is 1 here, there is 2 here, there is 2 here, there is 3, but there is no 3 here, so I do not include it. I have 4 here, I have 4 in this case, so I also write it. I have 8, I do not have 8 here, so I stop, meaning there are no other more common factors. So after identifying the common factors, you identify which of these common factors is the highest or is the biggest. And in this case, the biggest factor is going to be 4. So in other words, my HCF is going to be 4. That is going to be my highest common factor as 4. Method 2, I'm also going to factorize 8 and 12 using its factors. 8 and 12. Now the only difference with the LCM here is you're going to identify a factor which divides both 8 and 12. When we're looking at LCM, we would look for a factor which divides one of the numbers. But in this case, that factor must divide both numbers. In other words, the factor you're going to look for must divide both 8 and 12. So I start with the smallest, which is 2. Does 2 divide 8? The answer is yes. Does 2 divide 12? The answer is yes. So since 2 divides 8 and 12, I put it here. So 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. I'm still on 2. Does 2 divide 4? The answer is yes. Does 2 divide 6? The answer is yes. Since 2 divides both 4 and 6, I still include it here. So I'm going to have 4 divided by 2. My answer is going to be 2. Whereas 6 divided by 2, my answer is going to be 3. I still proceed. I now have 2 and 3. Is 2 divisible by 2? The answer is yes. Is 3 divisible by 2? The answer is no. So the moment one of the two numbers is not divisible by that factor which you are using, you stop exactly there. You do not proceed as we looked at in the LCM. This time we only look for the number which divides this number here and the number here. So after that, I'm going to come here and multiply the numbers which I have in this case. So that is going to be 2 times 2, and my answer is going to be 4. So we observe that the answer here is the same as the answer here. So you can use either this method or this method. The one which is simpler to you is the one you can use. We're going to look at maybe one last example about the HCF, enable us to understand more. So, example number 2, find the HCF of 12, 15, and 21. So, method number 1, we can start with method number 1, which we say you first list all the factors of these different numbers. So, method number 1, I have factors of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. I also look for the factors of 15. 1, 3, 5, and 15. I come to the factors of 21. I have 1, 3, 7, 21. So after that, I identify the common factors. So when you look at these 3 sets, 1 is common in all of them, so I write it as my first one. 2 is here, but it is not here, so I don't include it. 3 is here, 3 is here, 3 is here, I include it there. 4 is here, it is not here. 6 is not in these other 2. 12 is not in these other 2. Meaning the only factors which are common to these 3 sets are 1 and 3. So after getting those 2 factors, you identify which of them is the highest to give us our highest common factor. And between 1 and 3, we observe that 3 is bigger than 1. So my answer is going to be 3 as my HCF.